Day and a Tuesday and a Friday, but you are back to Be a Voice Radio with Wisconsin Voices, 860 WNOV, 106.5 FM. Happy, beautiful Monday, Milwaukee, and everybody that is in surrounding areas where you tapping in. Thank y'all for everybody that's listening outside of Milwaukee as well. You with Brian Sanders, lead organizer at Wisconsin Voices.
With Joe Dre from Wisconsin Voices.
Man, what's up, Joe?
Hey,
Man.
it's a great weekend.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Beautiful weekend. Went up to Sheboygan, helped Amanda out with getting her house prepped for getting new windows. So
Okay.
it was kind of a working weekend, but still kind of lovely outside, except for the one day of rain. But yeah, fall's here for sure.
Yeah, y'all got hit with some of that lightning the other night. Was that last night? It was a lot of lightning up there because I seen a lot of lightning coming from the north.
A couple nights ago. Yeah, apparently I slept through it, but
Yeah. For me, it was a little mixed of not too much work this weekend because I had kind of tallied up all the events I've been to since last week Wednesday. I think I hit up like 16 to 18 events between last week Wednesday and Thursday night, Friday night. So yeah, it's been a pretty busy week for me. This weekend, I did attend a flannel fest down in Crystal Lake. That was cool. They had like log cutting competitions and log climbing competitions, and it was obviously it was a flannel. So, it was
hence the flannel today.
Yeah, hence the shout out. I had to start off fall right, throwing on the flannel. But it was nice though. It was cool. It was a small little festival down at right on their lake. It's a beautiful lake. And I actually went, and then later on that night, my aunt, who's a part of a organization that's ran by a lady that's well known in Milwaukee. Her name is Janie Boston. She runs In the Dance Cafe. She had a gala/award ceremony. So congratulations to her and 20 years of success through In the Dance Cafe. Congratulations to my auntie and everybody who works over there with Janie in that ministry. They've been consistent. It's a strong ministry. I definitely know that we could tap them in. We're working with Wisconsin Voices because they are building community. I watched them and everybody in there become like local, like distant family members or cousins, just because of the ministry that the work that they do. So it was a nice event, and that was for me, that was Saturday night. So, and outside of that, I tried to coast. Packers got that win. I was eating vegan chili.
We did talk about the Reds and a little bit about baseball on Friday. I just wanted to add that the Reds fired their manager today. A little bit of sigh of relief from us Cincinnati fans out there, but they sent him packing today.
Yeah, well, you can see it in the eyes that it was on his way. So
yeah, for sure.
Well, we got somebody in the building. Who are you? Good morning.
Yeah, no, I must have been doing some good work or some important work to get to y'all.
Right, you got the polo on, looking all fresh. Got the Rainbow Coalition. I never got one of those. Hold up.
Oh, you don't need to know about all that. Thank you. This is Tamika Vukovic, the co-executive director of Wisconsin Voices. How y'all doing?
It's
pretty
Monday.
Good. Pretty good.
Doing great.
Like you just ran from the other side of town.
Well, see, I was doing people's work. Let me tell you. So this weekend we had the opportunity. Wisconsin Voices had the opportunity to work with Rainbow Push Coalition. We have been doing some work with the Reverend Jesse Jackson and his son, trying to just get out the vote. We were at Holy Redeemer and then Progressive Baptist Church yesterday. And then he did a speaking engagement at Brown Deer High School today. Now, those seniors that were at Brown Deer High School literally were in the presence of greatness when it comes to civil rights and doing what he does. One of the things that just blows my mind is the Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. has Parkinson's. We all know that. But he refuses to give up on pushing equity, pushing on equality, pushing on getting out to vote. His son, Reverend Jesse Jackson Jr., gave an amazing speech because about just your responsibility as high school students. Like, you can't sit back anymore and say you want to be grown, but you don't want to be grown. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. When you turn 18, there's a responsibility. It's not that you don't have to listen to your parents anymore. You can do what you want to do. There's a responsibility that comes with supposedly being grown. This is what your responsibility is to make sure that the country goes in the direction you feel is the way to go. So we'll be talking to the Reverend Jesse Jackson Jr. a little bit later. So that was my Saturday weekend, and this stuff comes up so quick. And I mean, I was enjoying my rest Saturday morning, and I get a call from State Representative Keisha Myers and some other people from the Rainbow Push. They were like, now, Rainbow Push has done work with Wisconsin Voices before, so can you help? Can you help us? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Now I'm literally in my bed, just woke up, brushed my teeth. My husband gave me my coffee, and we got to work trying to figure out how to help them any way, every shape or form we can. It's about getting out the vote. So they were at Brown Deer High School today. They'll be at UW Milwaukee later on today. We are helping assist register to vote, and that's the capacity we have been being part of. But we're going to get to that a little bit later, a little bit more about that. And then we're also going to, like a couple weeks ago, we went through the guide.vote on the presidential candidates, what they stood for with each topic or issue. And we're going to try to go through some of that between today and tomorrow on the Senate candidates for Wisconsin. But we also have a special guest today that we're going to introduce. So Wisconsin Voices is a 501c3, and they're an organization that does civic engagement and education. That is our purpose, that is our meaning, and that is our goal. But sometimes we have some really wonderful people to help us, and that's the board of directors who come in and kind of help us. Their job, and if you don't know what a board does, their job is to basically guide the organization. They are fiscally responsible for the organization. They approve budgets. Like the executive directors, we run the day-to-day operations, but they kind of oversee the whole thing, making sure we don't, fail, and we kind of keep what we need to do in focus. Well, we have one of our board members here, and he is new to the board, but has been very active in the board so far. He is our treasurer, and I would like to introduce you to David Carlson.
Thank you, Tamika. My name is David Carlson. I'm from Eau Claire. I live in Eau Claire now.
Because Wisconsin Voices is a statewide organization.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I want to touch on something that Tamika had stated earlier, that once you turn 18, we have an obligation to lend our voices through our vote to what happens in the politics of this country, but ultimately what gets rolled out in law. And I chose to be on the board for Wisconsin Voices because I wanted to give back, because currently I can't vote. I was incarcerated as a kid. I was also incarcerated as an adult. In between those two incarcerations, I did 2 tours in Iraq with the Wisconsin Army National Guard.
Well, we can't slide over that.
Yeah, right.
Thank you for your service, but
thank you for your service.
I heard you were kind of a badass there, doing your thing.
Yeah, so I was infantry, and so I was in the thick of it, both in 2004 and 2007, and then I came back and I had some real significant challenges with mental health and substance use, and these are some of the top political issues today: is funding for mental health treatment, accessibility to that treatment, and then also funding for substance use disorder treatment. And so I have decided to take the role of contributing my time to organizations like Wisconsin Voices, because I can't vote, which makes it possible for more individuals to be aware of just how important their vote is. Just to tell you how absurd it is that several of us can't vote, that are out in the community but maybe still on extended supervision like I am. I'm in December, I graduate from law school, and so
congratulations on that. See, you be sliding these things through, but we want to make sure that we elevate anybody who has had a I guess, what do you call a bump in the road, and then you were able to switch it up and that is hope for some of the other people who also like had a bump in the road early age or even in their 20s and 30s, and they still can turn it around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I feel like so I feel like some people hit bumps, and then like the first 32 years of my life was a roller coaster, right? It wasn't
just
really a bump.
Yeah,
It was how, I was raised a certain type of way that a lot of individuals that are probably listening would be able to relate to. I was adopted out of a juvenile facility, and I dealt with all the repercussions of growing up in that way, and I didn't come out of that until about 32 years old. And so I'm 40 now. The last 8 years of my life was spent trying to make up for all that time that I wasn't even aware of what could be possible for not just me when I was a youth, but for the youth now. And so that's what I'm trying to create, and that's why I've been grinding like I have been with just in business, and then also now with law school, because I want to make sure that more people have the opportunity to lend their voice to this discourse, either through the vote or to do things like I'm currently doing.
What tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing, because we put people on boards, and some people take this responsibility kind of like, oh, I get the title, I get the name. But with Wisconsin Voices, I think they have tried to do is put specific people on the board to help us grow and be. So kind of like tell us what you do, and then what you bring to our board.
So I about 4 years ago, I founded a for-profit business called We Adapt. It's a peer supported mentorship business, and I purposely made it a for-profit business because in my years between like 10 and 14, before becoming incarcerated as a youth, I went through group homes. I went through all these different programs that were run by, at that time, what I knew to be nonprofits. So I had a little bit of a bias when I first started my business. But then in building the business, I realized that nonprofit versus for-profit, these are just tax law, business law. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have to operate one way or the other. It's just sometimes one structure is more appropriate than the other. And so I built 3 for-profit businesses, and then now I'm in the process of building a nonprofit, all while in law school as well. We Adapt is in the entire western region of Wisconsin, Waukesha County, and Milwaukee County. So I've had success with that, and basically the characteristics or the skill set that I bring to the board is being able to, one, build a very large workforce, which means managing a very large workforce, and that workforce is predominantly made up of individuals that come from pretty significant trauma in their life. And so the typical corporate world, the typical business isn't equipped to help support individuals that are coming from certain circumstances. And that's why you see a lot of turnover for individuals that have had certain challenges in their lives when it comes to like mainstream business. And so that really was my specific focus in building this business, was to be as inclusive as possible of individuals that had these challenges earlier on in their life or currently. But then also I am also pretty decent with the financial aspects. I mean, I keep it real simple. We got to make more than we spend. And so that's also another piece that I brought to the board is a very strong emphasis on making sure that that we're bringing in the money so this good work can continue on well into the future and is sustainable.
And that's one of my weak points, is because I never ask you guys for donations or to hit the donation button. And it's not, I just forget because we be doing the work, but that is also a very important part of what we do. Individual donations help us do what we do. Individual donations and foundations and grants and stuff help us stay on the radio to make sure we give you this message. I guess, and in this scheme, I'm so focused on community that sometimes I forget that aspect. But that's why David is here, to be like, to hit me in the back of the head, Tamika, where that money? Have you made the phone calls? But that is why the board is there, to make sure that, even though we are so centered around helping our community, we also have to make sure that we have the resources to help our community. So I'm going to put a plug out there. If you would like to donate to Wisconsin Voices, go on our website, push that donation button. You can do individual donations, a large amount, small amount. I have I have a group of people, and it's so weird, but this is it still helps. They donate $1 once a week, and they've been doing it since 2018. We have some people who do $5 a week, and they've been doing it since 2018, and they continue to do it. Now, at first, you're like, it's a dollar. It's a dollar. But after all these years, I went back and looked. That's some substantial amount. That's over $1,000, that they have contributed, and they didn't hurt their pockets too much. But that's and there's 3 or 4 of those, so that is actually $1,000 a year, give or take. Plus, they've been doing it since 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 24. That's like 6, 7 years. That's $6,000, and there's like 3 or 4 of them that do that. So 6 times 4 is $24,000 that they have given. It's something that simple. So I thank you. Can you tell us, and I know I really want to know more about your programs, because not only you have some expertise in real estate, you have expertise in other aspects that I think are important, because it brings a different aspect to Wisconsin Voices and how we see things, how we work with our partners who are doing housing, how we work with our partners who are doing reentry work, or trying to do legislation with Joe, and working with on mass incarceration and corrections reform. Can you give us a little bit more detail of some of that? Because I know, like you said, you have for profits, but there are also people out here who are looking for profit businesses, but can still do nonprofit work in a way. So, can you kind of explain that a little bit? Because I think there are people out who really want to know that.
Absolutely. So first, I'd like to put a plug in too. Tamika had said, stay on her about the money, but in reality, what really brought me to this organization and what motivates me to really like dig in and lean into Wisconsin Voices is that Tamika is 100% committed to the mission. You can see it in all of her actions. You can see it in all of the interactions that she has with others, and that's really what has me here. And so every dollar that you do donate or more, you're going to see actually manifest itself in your community, and that's because of Tamika's values and principles. And so I
I
want
say
to
my
make sure
staff too, because I mean, this Wisconsin Voices staff, we're close. We like bicker like family. But you know how you say, don't talk about my mama. I could talk about my mama. You don't talk about my. But we literally are working. Like Brian said, I just realized he had 3 to 4 days off since July. Um, I know Joe has been consistently doing policy, and I'll have to throw something at him and be like, "Oh my God, Joe, we got to switch gears." But he keeps switching gears. Latoya, who she was talking about how she was allergic to her blood pressure medicine, and she was getting worse and worse over the summer. Now she knows that, but she still pushed forward. Nicole is always there answering the phones, helping out. We've had, a tragedy when Keon passed away. We all came together and we still kept doing the work. So I thank you, but it's not just Tamika, is like the Wisconsin Voices staff, the team, the board, who is all trying to do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I think that reflects why you guys are so successful, is because you are a committed team, and that I very much appreciate that, and I feel honored by the privilege to be on the board and be able to help in the little bit that I do. So,
So let's talk about you again. Now
okay.
we're gonna go back.
So as far as the businesses, so Peer Support and Mentorship, Peer Support is a newer what they call service array under Medicaid. Medicaid is 3% GDP in the United States. So what's similar to 3% GDP is the defense industry, which is also 3% GDP. So that tells you the funding that is out there for these healthcare services, which healthcare also includes mental health and substance use disorders. And so there's a lot of opportunity for these resources to reach individuals in the community that they're meant for. And a lot of times the barrier for them to reach those community members is one, regulation, which that's what I'm in law school for, is health law and healthcare compliance. But then two is sometimes they just don't have the right individuals that are working under these services. And so for We Adapt, we very much focused on, if we were going to represent a community, if we were going to work with someone in the community, we wanted that person to be represented in our team. And so that means that for incarceration, especially, a lot of us are excluded from being able to work for organizations like We Adapt. We Adapt has 6 for 6 on rehab reviews, which is needed when you have certain offenses that have occurred in your life. And the reason for that is because our value is if we got kiddos that are on their way making decisions that are very likely going to land them in long terms of incarceration, then we need people that have experienced that and that were those kiddos at one point in time. And so that's one of the innovative things that we've done, is we've brought in the individuals that actually have the lived experience to represent the communities that they're working in. That's one. The housing piece was more of so tenant support mentorship is the service, and then I formed relationships with private property owners, and that also led into me opening a business called Next Generation Properties, which also has 10 properties, 7 multiplexes, 3 single family homes in the Eau Claire County, Clark County, and Chippewa County areas. But the housing piece of it was just about, we had participants that, me personally, I was working in direct services still, and I had individuals that weren't a high enough needs level for the emergency room, but they were too high of needs level for the shelter, and it was 20 below zero, and they were in psychosis from drug use or whatever, not sleeping, whatever it is, and they were wandering outside, which means that they're going to die. And so that is what became the impetus to us developing tenant support mentorship. And then what it took to actually do tenant support mentorship was to get access to brick and mortar. And so that became, from the for-profit model, it became much easier trying to bridge that divide between social services or social enterprise and then just the private sector in general, because we're speaking the same language, versus if I had came from, a nonprofit, from the nonprofit world, contracting with the counties, a lot of the same bureaucracy that exists, that is in a lot of cases, a lot of private industry is like repelled by that language. And so that's just a divide that I think can be overcome. There's a lot of things that happen in like social services. For instance, you got a lot of people that like villainize property owners to the point that property owners don't even want to say they're property owners anymore. Yeah. And I don't think that is representative of the property owner class. And so I think that, again, to bridge that divide, you've got to have a certain understanding of like, okay, profit margins. What do I have to do to make that profit margin? And if I don't make that profit margin, I don't got a job, because right, this is a for-profit business. Once I understand that that's really what is motivating a person in the completely private industry, then I can work with them, and I can figure out ways to really mitigate them feeling like I'm going to lose my entire profit margin if I do anything good for the community, which you won't. In my opinion, it is more profitable over the long run if you put your money back into the community.
And that's where some of the people like, I'm not going to do this nonprofit stuff. There is a way to parallel them, and I think there is. And as there's fiscal agencies that you can use to help with some of the stuff that asks for a 501c3, you can use a fiscal agent. All of this stuff and all the things you do, I think, in your line of work is basically nonprofit. You're still bringing it back to the community. Nonprofit does it. It just, like you said, it's just a tax category. Mm-hmm. You can have a 100% purely profitable business and still do nonprofit work. Yep. And I think sometimes we forget that. I know they were talking. You guys were talking on Friday when I wasn't in. They did such a good job Friday. I'm trying to just be a hand, maybe once a month. That's where I'm trying to get to. But you guys were talking about dollars that are in each community. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you still have that, but
yeah, I got it.
It is very important that we talked about how different demographics keep their money in their community, and how fast does it go? You got that, Bri?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
that was the statistics about the black dollar as far as the spending power. Black consumers have a collective economic power of 1.7 trillion, expected to grow to 1.7 trillion by 2030.
Well, wait. So let's just talk about that. That is money that we spend, and it goes out to the communities, but we don't ever pull it together. Black and brown, BIPOC community. We never say, okay, you know what? This is not how this should go. And we're going to take our dollars and show it. Like, I know the Latino community does a thing, a day without Latinos. And they don't show up for work. They do something to show that you need us. And I wish more of the Black community would do that and show that our dollars really matter. I told you a story a while back where there was a person on our board, our Common Council board, and they kept saying the element when they talked about Milwaukee. And I'm a Aldo in Glendale, and they would say the element is coming here to do this, and the element is coming here to do that. And it was always like a kind of negative undertone on that. And I remember walking up to them one day, and after a Common Council meeting, and I said, I 100% will agree with you. I will fight tooth and nail for the Milwaukee element to never come into Glendale again if you are on record with me telling the Milwaukee element not to spend $1 in Glendale. All of a sudden they went, but I said, because if it wasn't for the Milwaukee element, and I give props to the residents in Milwaukee for keeping Bayshore afloat. When they were having their rough times. I say it all the time that is what helps. And if you look at the demographics that come to Bayshore, it really, and that's my district, but it's really not Glendale, Fox Point, Bayside, Shorewood, Fox Point, River Hills. Yes, some of them come in there. Most of that demographics that shops at Glendale or Bayshore is Milwaukee residents. So that I want you to go into also what you were talking about, where the dollars in the community, the dollars in the community, because this is what happens. We give to, and this goes back into me being a plug for Wisconsin Voices. We support all these organizations that don't directly support your community. We need to support the organizations that directly support your community. I've seen people give to the Salvation Army. Yes, Salvation Army does really good work, but it doesn't directly impact your community or bringing money into your community. So I would, and I'm not saying I'm not telling y'all to not give to the Salvation Army. It's just part of it. When you're giving your dollars, when you're trying to do that, bring it back to your community. Do you have it, Brian? Go ahead.
Yeah. So for some reason, I don't know why they had kind of like jumped over the Latino community, but I had to go to the Latino community just, of course, we want to keep it inclusive as possible. But just going back to what we were saying before, you got the Asian community about 28 days. The Jewish community about 19.
And explain what you're talking about with the days.
So this is what they are saying is the dollar circulation in the communities, which is of course an indicator of economic health in each community. And then it says it circulates for about 28 days in the Asian community, about 19 days in the Jewish community, about 17 days in the white community, about 6 hours in the Black community. So that's where we were saying.
Huge.
And then we kind of just added, I know we just mentioning the Latino community, and for the Latino community, they still got us beat as well. Circulates more than 6 times more than it does in the Black community. And as far as the GDP for Latinos in U.S. reached about 3.7 trillion, which is one of the fastest growing GDPs among the world's top 10 economies.
I was going to say, we talked about that on Friday, where some of these dollar figures we're talking about is larger than most countries in the world.
Yeah, we did.
So like to Tamika's point, when that money's pulled together, and the resources are pulled together, there's power in that. There's power. There's
power.
There's financial power in that.
And
go ahead.
One thing I want to touch on with that is one thing that I've learned in business is property is king, and it's unfortunate that what I've seen in still being in a social enterprise is, you know, I always say that the E and DEI is about equity, right? Everybody thinks, okay, well that's common sense. Well, when I say equity, I mean equity means you have ownership in property. That's what I mean, because there are a lot of different programs that get created. I mean, genius programs, brilliant minds that are creating these programs, running these programs, growing these programs that are meant for community benefit. And these individuals that have put in this work and have, I mean, in reality, saved the community millions of dollars, maybe even more than that, hundreds of millions. They'll come out of that and they won't even own a home. They won't even own one property, let alone multiple properties. Once you own the properties in your area, that starts recycling the money in that area, right? But if the property is owned by other individuals, if the stores are owned by other individuals, it doesn't matter if you're making a decent income. When you go and you pay your bills, you pay, if you're paying rent, you pay your rent, all of that money starts getting sucked right out of the community. And so
We
to
were
me,
ta-
equity is ownership.
and we were talking about how, and we're going to take a break in 1 second, but we were talking about how when I lived right across the street here. I grew up on 21st and Atkinson. We're on, 20th and Atkinson. And one of the things is our corner stores were all black owned corner stores. The all these things where you went there, but that was money in the community, and then it would go, stay in the community because you were buying from a black owned business or a Latino owned business. And then now it's not so much, and it doesn't stay in our community, and it goes right back. And most of these owners, and I have talked to them, where do they live? The ones that own these gas stations and own these corner stores, they live in Franklin, they live in Oak Creek, they live in
Thiensville,
Brookfield, Thiemesville,
Mequon,
Mequon.
all types.
They do not live in the communities
Yep.
that look like them. So that money is going right back out of Milwaukee. We're going to take a break. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We're going to talk some more about voting and stuff. We'll be right back. Joe Dre is
feel like I'm out on
complaining
an
about
island here.
segregation in
We
the
back.
he's complaining about segregation.
I'm over here on
in
an
the,
island, guys.
You got to bring Joe into the fold. Let Joe come in.
No, you stay right over there. No, I was like, come on, Joe.
Remind me
Come
of
on,
the
Joe.
social distance.
Oh my God.
No, we will not bring that up. Oh, shouts out. Hope Nicole feels better.
Oh yeah, Nicole, get better,
Get better, Nicole.
Better,
Nicole.
Nicole. Yep.
Um,
I'm glad I
He
caught that
is a-
recording then before she got sick.
David is a plethora of knowledge when it comes to some of this stuff. I mean, Wisconsin Voices does not discriminate. We have a bunch of we have individuals who are working with us that are on paper, who have felony convictions. We try to practice what we preach. If we're telling other people to, give people who had a bump in the road or even a whole roller coaster in the road another chance, and we don't do it, we're hypocritical.
One thing I really liked what he was talking about was the mental health aspect, because as I've talked to our partners that are dealing with reentry, a lot of reentry work, the one thing that they talk about is mental health needs within the community. So it was really, really encouraging to hear that.
Oh Lord, let's go. We got a few other things to talk about. We have talked about the presidential race, and there's a guides.vote that gives the issues on one side, and it tells what Vice President Kamala Harris says about an issue, and then it also tells us about former President Donald Trump, what he's done. But we haven't really talked about the two things we're going to the other big things on it. Tomorrow we're going to get into the referendum that's on there. That's going to be a no. We're going to explain, but it's definitely a no. No. That is a no vote. But we're going to get a little bit more into that tomorrow. But let's who are these people?
Tammy Baldwin and Eric, is it Hovde?
Hovde.
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 Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of his commercials and a lot of
Yeah.
Tammy's.
I think he was. Did he run for governor at one time as well?
I think he ran for
I've seen
something
him
at
somewhere
one
before. I just
point
can't-
in
Here, all
time.
right.
Yeah.
We're gonna go and talk about their issues and then how they feel about it. But I do want people to, when there's so many ads out there, go and look up these ads because they have to do a disclaimer.
All right.
Paid for by.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If it's like you will hear a Donald Trump ad, and usually if it's from his camp, it'll say paid for by Donald Trump,
Party,
president, or something like that. If it's Kamala Harris, it'll be paid for by Kamala Harris. I approve this message, something like that. But there is a lot of ads that are from
those groups that
we don't want to say extreme one way or another. We want to say PACs.
Yeah.
And I would challenge you guys, when you hear paid for by, go look up who they're paid for by.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one. I saw a billboard, and it said Trump for Democrats for Trump. But then the paid for ad is from a white right wing organization. They can put whatever they want out there. They can say whatever they want. Please be informed. Go and look at who these paid for ads are by, and then you will know. we are we're just trying to make sure that we do a lot of work in regards to making sure that people have information and that they can, kind of decide for themselves who is telling the truth, who is not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I always say, get down there and when you pause the screen, what helps me a lot is what I do. I'll pause the screen or I'll take that quick glance at the end of the commercial, and then you just want to go see. Like she said, you got to follow through because you really don't know. Like I said, it can spin you and send you off so quick. And then another big thing is just the constant awareness of the potential threats of AI ads and the manipulation in those ads, and those ads getting even better. Just watching that Oprah report last week when we were in DC, and I was ironing some clothes, and they was talking about, Oprah did a special and she was talking about AI and just how much the manipulation has grown and just how advanced the videos have grown in that time. So yeah, even with those commercial ads and those internet ads, you look at who's writing them. Most of them have to put some type of pay for or sponsored by.
Yeah, and to Tamika's point, she's absolutely right. Those super PACs and those political action committees, they put out some of the most extreme ads on both sides. And you'll hear there'll be the crazy billboards. You're like, really? Is that the truth? You're kind of like, huh? You're scratching your head a little bit. It's because they're a little bit more extreme than those, just the regular candidates campaigns. You may see one or two that's a little extreme, but it seems like those super PACs really go hard left or hard right when they're doing those advertisements.
And the other thing is that we, as a 501c3, can talk about issues. We can talk about when a candidate is wrong.
Right.
We can talk about what a candidate is right. What we cannot do is tell you who to vote for.
Right.
And we will never tell you who to vote for. But if a candidate comes up with an idea and and it is detriment to the fundamental foundation of what Wisconsin Voices is and the people that we serve and the people, we're going to tell you.
That's real.
And that is what you can. Churches can talk about issues that matter to them, but they can't tell you who to vote for. We really want to make sure that all the information that we give you, but trust us, but you also can make sure that there is, websites you can go to, people that you trust, all these different things that are going on. We have to
keep you in the know.
Keep you in the know.
Keep you in the loop. It's important. I think it's such a critical time. And I don't think that, you can feel the anxiousness in everybody from all different angles. And I want you to go ahead and do your thing real quick with the call. But yes, it's time for us to keep the awareness at a high level.
So, Wisconsin Voice, or Be a Voice, Wisconsin Voices radio show we have a guest. Go ahead, and we're going to put the guest on the phone. We have an amazing former congressman from Illinois. He has been doing a lot of get out the vote work. I would like the Be a Voice family and Wisconsin Voices WNOV to welcome Jesse Jackson Jr. Hello, Congressman.
Hey, welcome.
Hey, how are you? It's good to be here.
I am so glad that I got to meet you today. We were at an event today. Well, just we only have a short amount of time, but I know you have so much to tell us. So I'm just going to let you do a quick introduction, and then just to tell you, your speech was amazing this morning for those students, and I would love for you to reiterate some of the stuff you were telling them as adults. So go ahead. Thank you so much for being part of Be a Voice.
It's a pleasure to be on The Voice. Listen, I rarely give the same speech twice, but what I can tell you this: we talked at Brown Deer this morning about the power that high school students who are seniors in Wisconsin have over the destiny of the United States. If you are 17 years old and you will be 18 by November, you have the power to vote. And in 2016, the state of Wisconsin was lost by 25,000 votes. There are more than 25,000 seniors across the state who are eligible to vote in this upcoming election. And because Wisconsin has same day on-site voter registration, I really hope on election day that some student leaders would take their classes to vote, because there's so much at stake in 2024.
In your speech that you gave earlier, and I don't want you to, you don't I know you don't repeat speeches, but some of the key points that you made were very, like, the kids were like, did you hear them when they were like, yes, they were starting to clap, they were engaged in that. And you were talking.
So I wanted them to know, Vaughn, I wanted them to know that all of human history is about this moment. So I walked them through all of the history of the United States that created Brown Deer High School. There was a time when Hispanics and Asians and African Americans and women could not attend public schools. And I walked them through the history that made their class possible. And I made it crystal clear that whether that history is expanded for their children and their children's children depends upon the actions that they take on November 5th. In other words, I brought the students themselves into the history and the significance of the power that lies in their collective hands. And I was pleasantly grateful that they responded in such an overwhelmingly positive way.
They thought they were at church for a minute there. They was like, amen, yeah. Your father, the great Jesse Jackson Sr., was there. And one of the things that I had talked to you about, that what I heard that was so profound, this is his life. This is his work. Yeah. He started at a very, very young age, marching with Dr. King and so many other ones. And and even though he could be sitting, trying to rest, and make sure that he stays around for a long time, he's still out here.
Yeah, Dad is almost 84 years old. He'll be 84 at his next birthday on October 8th. And all he's known is social justice, and all he has known is struggle. And so he's stricken with Parkinson's. But when the campaign called, when Kamala called him and shared with him how important Wisconsin was, my dad put on his marching shoes, he put on his boots, and he said, I don't know what it's going to take, but I'm going to Wisconsin to speak to these young kids. And Jesse, if you could be a mouthpiece for me at these events, I would sure appreciate it. And, I was honored to be in my father's presence. So I made it really clear to the students that they have all of their faculties about them. They're very smart. They're very sharp. They have their legs. They have their arms. But if an 84-year-old man can determine that it is important that he speak to you all, motivate you, and inspire you to understand your own importance and just how much power you actually have to determine the direction of the nation, then the least we can do is take our class to vote on November 5th.
I know you are on a way to another event and you guys are doing such great work. I thank you for, allowing us to host you, working with Representative Myers. I think Senator Dora Drake was there.
They're amazing.
The Brown Deer, they put this together in a very small amount of time, but there was so much interest in being a part of this. Like their senior picture, that no other seniors are really going to get that kind of picture, with, the Reverend sitting there and the whole, senior class, or 100 of the senior classes getting to take a picture with him. this
They
is
will
a
remember it for the rest of their lives.
they will, and they are part of history. You know, we are we are just so grateful, Wisconsin Voices and the city, county of Milwaukee, that you come and bless us with your presence. I know you got some more work to do a little bit later today. Where are you headed after this? I know you're going to UWM, and then where's the
Well,
crew going?
UWM, and then I have to, and then I think somewhere else in Racine, but I have got to get ready to head to Chicago because we're heading to Detroit, Michigan on the next leg of this.
Well, I thank you for taking the time to, call us at Be a Voice, and we're trying to amplify the voice for this election. Um, any other sound advice or last minute words of wisdom you would like to give us?
Well, you know how to reach me. I am doing a lot of radio across the country, but I promise you this: I will be responsive to your call when I get it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for being a part of Be a Voice. I was so excited to meet him today, and just he his dad is we all know he has Parkinson's, but he still has a way of, I am somebody.
Yeah.
It still flows with that. Um,
I had a dinner with Reverend Jesse Jackson last year. At the end of our trip down in Houston, we sat in the room and I got a speech on the phone. So I was working with TJC and them bringing Rainbow Coalition to a lot of their events. It's been an honor to go to 2 or 3 events and be in close proximity with individuals like Reverend Jesse Jackson and the people that they work with across the country who are fighting extremely hard for voting rights and social justice.
all right, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to talk about the big vote, and then we are done for the day, but we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be right back in about a minute or two. Just want to remind people the big vote concert October 1st. Please go on the website wisconsinvoices.org. Click on the big vote banner. Sign up. This is a free concert, 18 and up. Please, you have to have an ID to get in, and we just have some amazing people coming in. Carvey will be playing. This is like I'm pushing Carvey P on here, but there's also Lil Scrappy, and
I'm going to see Carvey.
I'm going to see Carvey. Ro James, Rotimi is going to be the host. We're going to get more information out there, but thank you so much for listening to Wisconsin Voices. Be a Voice, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We are going to be talking about this U.S. Senate tomorrow and that referendum that's on it. We will be back tomorrow. I think all of us will be here. And LaToya.
Mm-hmm.
See you tomorrow.
See
Bye.
ya.